Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video! Yay! How's everybody doing? We're here today to talk about The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I forgot. It's called The Fine Print, yeah. Good. Yet another romance book that Booktok loves. Bookstagram, book... Twitter maybe even? I'm not really on there, I don't know. Yet again, proving to me that Kindle Unlimited is not something good. Kindle Unlimited is being abused by people who... I don't know how to write. I don't know. We're talking about The Fine Print today. I had my members vote on a list of contemporary books and I am actually the #1 contemporary book hater. So I don't really know why I did that. Just kidding, I do know why I did that. And that is because I want to find a contemporary book okay, that I like. I'm trying. I keep giving them second chances. Well, if you give more than 2 chances, it's more than 2, but I don't know which chance we're on at this point. Reading different tropes and books and romances and authors and just trying to find something that catches my attention. And so far, flop. I want to talk about the author first. There's not that much to say. And then I'm going to talk about the rant, so if you only want to hear about the rant, because I didn't like it. I didn't even rate it on Goodreads. I was gonna say I gave it 1 star and I was like, did I? But I haven't thought of a review yet. I forgot. How can I forget this? My Goodreads is Honestly Sophie, right? I always forget. It's in the description. Well, I think of something while I'm filming this. Also, 4 more people have to add me on Goodreads. 4 more people, and then I have 1,000 friends on Goodreads. I don't know if that gets me anything. Make sure to send me a friend request. I will accept it. This is what I wanted to do. I don't know why I did that. So thank you so much to my members who decided to put me through this, and it was so fun. Love you guys. No, I did put it on the list myself. I had no idea what it was about before I read it. I just saw people talking about it, and that's why I decided to put it on the list in the first place. I can't say I regret it because, you know, my members chose it, and I just have to abide by their will. My members get my videos a day early. They also get exclusive content such as my Ruby Red movie commentary. They get to vote on my next reads. I also am going to start doing series reviews where I review entire series in videos. So that's also what they get to decide on which series I'm going to read. And I'm not going to tell you guys what they vote for. And it's going to be a surprise for all of the peasants. I'm just kidding, but I do want to make it a surprise and the members will obviously know. So if that's something you want to be a part of, then consider becoming a member. And also if you want my eternal peace and love. Peace and love. My members are Haley B, Ashley Ranger B, Trinity ELW, Clara S, Kushimeta, Deja, Queen Sif, Courtney, Grace, Elouette, Probably Bree, Marissa Simons, Joe Beans, Samwise, Lord of the Rings, Usagi Swimfree, Megan May, Carrie G, Sydney, Emion, Haley Charles, Lacey Lace EDC, Asteria, Mrs. Preminger, Sweet Pea, and Eric Danielson. I love you guys. Why did no one tell me that my hair looked like this? The ring light is in front of the camera, so I can't see it. I can't see myself that well, so if I lean over here, that's because I can see myself that way, just so you know that I'm a little bit conceited. Great. I don't know what I'm gonna have the theme for my next read going to be, because I want to do themes for the votings. Sorry. I think it's going to be not romance, I just read that. What is it going to be? Fantasy. I want to read a fantasy book. I don't know the last time I read a fantasy book. It's been so long. What the fuck? Are there any fantasy books you guys want me to read? Comment down below. Maybe I'll make it as a choice on the poll for the members. But usually I try to think of the books before I film a video so I can tell you guys. In case you really want me to read one, you can tell me. But I just don't have... Powerless is going to be on it definitely, because the sequel is coming out soon, I think. But other than that, I don't have any thoughts. But I do have some thoughts about this book, so let's get into it. I did ask my Instagram followers, my Instagram is @HonestlySophieYT, if they've read this book and if they wanted to share their thoughts. And so we can look into some thoughts from some of my followers, because thank you to everyone who replied. The last time I did a question on my Instagram, only 1 person replied, so this was better. It was actually 4 people. Someone said, absolute disaster, the guy, forgot his name, which it's Walt Disney, was such a stereotypical asshole. Very true. I don't know if any of you have read The Fine Print. Maybe I was just hyping it up in my head because I felt like I was seeing a lot of people talking about it, but maybe I was wrong. Oh my god, guys, have you read the fucking cowboy book? I see everyone talk about it with the pink cover. I don't know the author's name, I don't know the book's name. I just know it's about cowboys. I keep getting TikToks about it. Do we care about cowboys? Do we care about them? Should I also read that? I don't know. You guys let me know if we care about that. Or I'm not gonna like it anyway. Then I had one person said no, just no, which is also very, that's like, honestly, there isn't that much to say about this book. Just before we talk about it, there isn't that much to say, so this is a good summary. Because arguably, there isn't much going on, plot-wise, storyline-wise. And that's also why I hate contemporary books. If you've watched me for a while, you will know. I hate contemporary, because they're boring. Nothing's happening, no one's dying, no one's killing anyone. That's why I need a fantasy. I need there to be stakes. I had one person write 3 different things. They said, it sucks, main character is insufferable, which both of them are, and female lead needed to be fired for how she was talking to her boss. Because this book is about a boss and his employee. And yeah, I agree. Someone said, I wish you well, but I only know that it is a romance with explicit scenes. I will go back to my horror now. I could never read horror, I get scared. Because I said thoughts and prayers. So this, I will assume, is a prayer for me. For my mental health. I need it. We had another person say boring again. I said that too. Yeah. And I had one person send me a longer message actually. They were talking about how there's a big power imbalance. And you guys have to let me know if you like work. Why does there's like a weird sound because I talk so loud. Can you hear it? Ah! What is it? If you are into workplace romance, because obviously some people are into that and that's fine. That's not for me. But maybe that's because I only had jobs that traumatized me. And I've never had a hot boss. So I can't like really feel myself into that because I don't fuck with work. So who is the author? Where the fuck are my notes? Lauren Asher is the author. That's all I have to say about her. She seems very unproblematic. I haven't found anything about her. Now, I don't know any of her other books. You guys let me know if you know them. I will tell you what they are. She wrote the Dirty Air books, Throttled, Wrecked, and Redeemed, and Collided. I skipped one, sorry. I'm pretty sure she published them on Kindle Unlimited first. I couldn't really figure it out, but she did publish the first 3 books in that first series. Oh my god, I didn't realize it was 4. In 2020. Okay, and then the book that I read now, the fine print, was published in 2021. So and Redeemed, oh my god, can I talk in order? First 3 books she released 2020, and then Redeemed, the last book of her first series, she released 2021. And then the fine print, which I read now, she released in 2021. So it was her 5th. I thought it was her 4th book. It was her 5th book. She's also written Lakefront Billionaires books. I think she's just really into billionaires and Formula 1 because I think the other books are about Formula 1. And those books are Love Redesigned and Love Unwritten, and I've also seen those a lot. The other ones not really. Like the first book she's written, but the other ones I've seen on the timeline because of their covers. So, speaking of covers. The original cover, guys, you know I don't put anything on the screen. You just have to look at me right now. This is the original cover for the book that I read, okay? A man looking at you, really fuckably, he wants to fuck you so bad, is what the cover screams at me. Now, personally, not my type. I would not fuck him. Would also think that's kind of cringe. If my boss came to my desk and leaned down and was like, I would say, I'm going to HR. I would say that. The cover that it has now, I don't know why it's pixelated. Fuck you, Goodreads. It's this one. Yeah, you just have to guess what it is. It's the fucking Disneyland castle because this is about Disneyland and that's why it says Hot Walt Disney. It's about Dreamland and Dreamland is just Disneyland. But she didn't want to say Disneyland and it's about Walt Disney's grandson, okay? But for me, I'm not going to be referring him to as his normal name. For me, he is Walt Disney. And that's why I wrote Hot Walt Disney, because that's who I was imagining the entire time. I think we should not make trashy romance books have a nice cover. Because the 2 covers, they tell me completely different things. This is a completely different vibe from this, is it not? It looks like I'm going to read something like, I don't even know what I'm going to read if I look at this. With this book, I know I'm going to get something, I know what I'm going to get. I know what I'm gonna get. Something mediocre. The author, again, she has a really aesthetic Instagram, making it themed after whatever book she's releasing. It looks really nice. She uses, like a lot of romance authors, like a caricature of herself as her profile picture. Like it's a drawn picture, it's not her. But she has shown her face, and she looks really cute. She looks She looks fine. Okay, who am I to judge? No, she looks really cute and sweet, and she is 28, and something that's I have to say is I found out she's Cuban American. Arriba! Do you say that in Cuba? I know nothing about Cuba, I'm so sorry. Love my Latinas. Oh my god, my best friend is Latino. But she's from Mexico. She's not watching this. Love you if you're watching. But again, I don't know anything about Cuba. I don't know what's going on over there. And the reason I'm saying this is because she tried to do like some race representation in her book that I think was kind of fell flat. And also because from what I read is she came from Cuba. She lived in Cuba in her early life and then she moved to America. So the only reason I'm saying that is because that would make me assume that English is not her first language. Because there will be a lot of things that I will be pointing out that you could maybe argue, oh, that's because English isn't her first language and that's why she's making these mistakes, or she's writing it a little bit odd because her first language is Spanish. But then again, I have to tell you, I assume that since she is represented by a team now, and even if this started out as self-published on Kindle Unlimited, she was picked up by a publisher, and as far as I'm concerned, as soon as you're picked up by a publisher after self-publishing, your book gets reviewed again. Like, it gets edited. Like, for example, I have the sorry, I have to flex a little. I have the self-published version of the Atlas 6 in my shelf, because it's allegedly it's allegedly worth some money. I don't believe it, but I do have it in my shelf. I did review it if you're interested. I didn't like it if you're interested. I was actually talking to someone the other day, and she asked me, no, she didn't read the Atlas 6. What did she read? She read, or did she read the Atlas 6? She read the other book by Olivia Blake. The Enemy one from My Enemy. I don't remember what she said. I think she liked it. I said, ugh, you know, I don't like anything. She was like, yeah, I know. I just wanted to ask anyway. No, but I always thought that if you self-publish and then your book gets picked up and gets republished as a actually like published book from a company, from a publisher, then it gets reviewed and edited over, right? That like mistakes, like spelling mistakes or anything that is like an issue gets reworked. Not the entire story, but just like issues like that. So why the fuck does she not know how to use a fucking comma? Bitch. I get so mad when people don't know how to use a comma. Because I don't understand how it's not like how people don't know. Like, can't you just tell? And I've talked about this before, about the comma issue, and I talked about it before with the Zodiac Academy, because those, and that's even my review on Goodreads, those two bitches, it's two people who wrote that book, don't know how to use commas. They put it not at all or in the wrong spots. I don't get it. And I can't take you seriously as an author if you don't know how to use a fucking comma. Bitch. That's something where I don't have any grace with you, because that's like such a basic thing to do. It's like impressive when people get it wrong, actually. Commas are not her strong suit, and that's also the first note that I took about the book, because we're now going to talk about the contents of the book after my comma rant, because that's also my first note, so I just wanted to tell you that she can't use commas properly. And there's a lot of weird phrases in the book that I will go over, but yet again, if you're gonna come for me and say, oh, it's because that's not her first language, I will come at you and say, doesn't it get reviewed? I don't get it. I don't get it. The plot is that there is a dude, his name is Walt Disney. No, his name is actually Rowan, but I also, and this is gonna sound a little bit mean, obviously no author can claim a name, but if I read a book and there was another man called Recent, I would be like, why would you do that? Why would you call your name, your character a name that's like so closely connected with another character? Like, they claimed that name. Now, Rowan is obviously one of the more normal names that Sarah J Maas has used in her books, but still I think the majority of people, when they read that name in a book, they will associate it with the OG. And not that there haven't been Rowans before that, right? But he's just such a big popular character that if it's completely fine that she named him Rowan, but just like, that's not a choice that I would make if I wrote a book. Like, I wouldn't name my main male character Rowan. Anyway, whenever his name came up too, I was so confused. I was like, who is that again? For some reason, I could not remember him, well, his name, whenever he came up. I could not remember it. I don't know what it was. So I will be referring to him as Walt or Walt Disney. He's his grandson. The original Walt Disney died. And he created Dreamland, which is just Disneyland, right? He was in a coma, and then he died. And then his 3 grandsons, who there's a book about each of them, get a letter and they get a mission. They get a little bit of a mission from him. And for Walt Disney Jr., it's to become the director of the park for 6 months and do something, I don't remember what exactly, so that he could earn his stake in the company so it wouldn't go to his dad. Because they hate his dad, because all of the 3 brothers hate the dad. Because of course the main male character has daddy issues, because otherwise it wouldn't be fun. And also because their mother died back in the day. And then his dad was really mean to them. And so they hate him and they're like, we cannot let him have the money. And so Walt Disney Jr. is like, okay, I will do it. I will do my mission. He's not really down with it though, because he hates Disneyland. He fell out of love for it because his dad was mean to him because he liked to draw, and his dad was like, if you draw, you're a pussy. He was like, I became cold and mean because my dad said drawing is for pussies and bitches. So very standard grumpy sunshine, which I heavily okay, do not fuck with the tropes that have been, or the marketing of books that has been popularized through Booktok. We know about this. I'm actually thinking about writing my bachelor's thesis about this. Guys, imagine. I don't think I will though. I don't think they will allow me to. But it's like, why the fuck do I want to read Grumpy Sunshine? And then it's just like so stereotypical, and that's also why I don't get contemporary, why I think contemporary is so boring, because you read the same story over and over again with characters who just have different names, you know what I mean? And they are all so similar, and I think the originality of writing and of storytelling kind of gets lost through that. That was really deep. I don't really know. It's like, this book doesn't warrant that deep of a review. There's a lot of phrases that get reused, and I'll talk more about it later, but the one that I noticed right off the bat is the phrase, my molars grind. And I don't know what molars are, so I googled it. I was like, what the fuck is he grinding? What is he grinding realistically? Not his teeth, right? Yes, it's his teeth. It's his back teeth. Just write I grind my teeth. No, she writes, my molars grind together, or I grind my molars. Whenever it's the dude's perspective, Walt Disney Jr., and when it's the girl's perspective, her name is Zara, then she writes my teeth grind. But when it's him, to make it different, can you hear that? My bra is like squeaking. Whenever it's her, then she writes, my teeth are grinding, his molars are grinding. And you're gonna say, okay, she can use the same phrase twice. Who cares? No, 7 times. She says it 7 times. That's too much. After receiving this letter, he goes to introduce himself to all of the peasants of the company, because he is now the director of the park. Realistically, I don't know what that means. I think he is like the creative director who is responsible for like the rides and shit. Anyway, he goes to introduce himself to the peasants because allegedly they are... And the thing is, like, I used to work at the theme park. Yes, I have to confess. I talked about this before, I think. I worked at the theme park when I was 16, freshly 16. I was allowed to start working, and they paid me 5 euros an hour because I was not 18, and so they didn't have to pay me minimum wage. And so I made 5 euros an hour, and my parents still drove me there. I don't really know why they allowed it. I was being exploited. But I did my work dutifully, and so some of these things, well, obviously I was just like a peasant working there, but he introduces himself to the peasants in this scene, like not the people working in an office, but the people who work in the park. Like, they're meeting up before the park opens and are having like a big team meeting to discuss what's happening. And of course, I didn't work at Disneyland. I worked at like a poopy ass theme park. I don't imagine that they do that. Like, everybody knows how to do their job, right? Why the fuck would they have a meeting beforehand? I'm not sure. He goes in the back row, and he's so mysterious, and his energy, his vibes is keeping everyone away. He's sitting in the shadow. And then a girl comes in. A girl comes in the room too late with a loud backpack, smiling. He does not understand how people smile, why they smile, he doesn't get it. Who is she and why is she 20 minutes late? She has a neon pink penny skateboard with her because that's so different. She's beautiful in a way that makes it difficult to refocus my attention on the conversation at the front of the room. I hate it yet I can't look away. I hate it yet I can't look away. It's a complete sentence. You could have put a comma in front of yet anyway. My eyes trace the curves of her body, drawing a path from her delicate throat to her thick thighs. Yes! Thick curves. She has big boobs. She does. The speed of my heart picks up. He is immediately in love with her. There is no slow burn. which I think this book was marketed as slow burn. That is not prevalent in the story. It's insta-lust. They are instantly attracted to each other. The whole conflict around them getting together and we want to be together but we can't be together is so artificial because they want each other immediately. And then he's like, no, I've been tricked by women my entire life. I can't be with you. And so that's just what draws the story to be 500 fucking pages. It didn't need to be that. It didn't need to be that. Her penny board slides off her lap and smashes into my $2,000 shoes. He is rich. Yes, I love a rich man. She works at a salon at the Bibbidi Boobidi Booba Boop boutique in the park. She is super good at her job. She loves children. She loves people. She is the best employee. And then there is a survey because actually, I didn't tell you even what his mission was. He does not want to be the director because he hates the park because his dad told him he's a pussy. He has to be a director for 6 months and then introduce to a voting committee his idea how to make the park better. That's what Walt Disney wanted from Walt Disney Jr. And the committee then votes whether they think it's a good idea or not. And if it's a good idea and he passes the fucking whatever it is, the project, then he gets his percentage in the company. And if the committee goes, no, we don't fuck with it, then his dad gets his you get it, his percentage. Then he doesn't get any fucking billion Brazilian dollars. Dollars? Okay. So he makes a survey where people can, who are working in the company, can write him and tell him what they think should be better about the park because he doesn't have any ideas because he's uncreative. Even though his dad called him a pussy for being pussy. Okay. His dad called him out for being creative and so he just was never creative again and he can't think of anything to make the park better because it's just overachieving in every aspect. And so he makes this survey for the people who work there and they put shit in and then one night Zara, the main character, is drunk and she submits an essay on how she hates one of the park's rides and then she gets hired as a creator because creators are the one that make the rides and the creative decisions. It's really creative to name them creator. And she gets hired as that, which now makes Walt Disney Jr. her boss. Like her almost direct boss. She has one person in between them. The reason she writes an essay on how much she hates one of the rides, or I think it's called Nebula Land. I don't know if that's supposed to be like Animal Kingdom or some shit. Is because she used to date a dude and that dude cheated on her with someone and then with the money he got for submitting the idea that she had about Nebula Land, because it was her idea originally, he bought his affair an engagement ring. The dude is mentioned multiple times in the story. I did not give a fuck about him. She tried to do a lot of different themes in this book, like a lot of different conflicts and just things going on in the story, and none of them were properly explored. For example, the idea for this Animal Kingdom was Zara's idea and her ex stole it, but she didn't just create it herself, she created it with Walt Disney himself, the grandpa. Because for some reason they worked together for half a year, and I don't know why. I don't know why they worked together. If she said it, I forgot. I was like, why the fuck would this billionaire, Walt Disney, work with you peasant? What was the reason behind it? I don't know. So that's why she wrote a hate mail in the survey, and then the creators read it and were like, oh my god, she has so much passion, we need to hire her. So they do. And I don't know why we care about the ex-boyfriend, okay? His name is Lance. Already boring. Rowan's body is nothing like my ex's. What do I care? Every inch of his lean body is packed with muscle like he runs for fun. His muscular calves stick out from beneath the desk, and his firm ass moves as he readjusts the cables down there. This is your boss! I'm hopelessly immature and desperately horny. This is her first day on the job. Also, was her ex a fatty? Or what is she trying to tell me? Like, did she date a fatty? What is it? Fatty represent? Finally? I've never seen a man in my life and just forgot how to breathe, you know, because they were so beautiful. That has never happened to me. Don't tell my boyfriend. So they have to give a presentation at the end of the week, these creators, to Rowan to present their ideas to make the park better, because he's trying to filter through all of the ideas to make his presentation at the end of the 6 months to get his stake in the company. This girly pop, she holds her first presentation And he's like, okay, everybody leave except for Zara. She talks back to him after she made a presentation. He asks a question, she talks back to him. If you talk to me like that in front of anyone again, let me guess, you'll fire me. It's a bit predictable for my taste, but I respect it since you're the man in charge. That's your boss. I can just not understand where you would get that level of insanity from to talk back to your boss like that. And that being said, they are not the same age. I want to mention that they are not the same age. I don't see anyone talk about this. She's 23. She's as old as me. Yeah, this could be me. And he is 30. And I want to say this with utmost peace and love to all of my 30s and above watching this, especially the men. I could never imagine dating a 30-year-old man. Sorry, I'm so sorry. What am I supposed to talk about with you? Sorry. So they're having this back and forth. Then we have the next page after this, where she's like, oh, you're gonna fire me, right? Like, very entitled. You better have a massive dick to back up that attitude, or else people will be mighty disappointed. Why the fuck would you say that to your boss who you've seen twice? There to bring out a ruler and test your theory? I left my magnifying glass at home, so maybe tomorrow. I'm pretty sure the angel on my shoulder has left the building. Something shifts between us. His eyes darken as they assess me. I'm not sure if he wants to choke me, fire me, or fuck me into submission. Are you always this impossible? I don't know. Are you always this much of an asshole? To her fucking boss. 1 second he's scowling at me, and the next his lips are slamming into mine. We are literally 18% in, and they are making out for the first time. Wow. This slow burn is really slow. It's a very slow burn, as we can tell. They're not just making out. He starts humping her on the desk with his hard penis. And they have talked 3 times at most at this point. They don't know anything about each other. They just find each other hot. And this brings me back to the point of we're only writing about hot people at this point in romances. We are not writing about connections. Romance authors don't know how to write human connections that make you feel anything. They just want people to fuck. They just want to write erotica. They don't want to write anything around it, and you can tell. They wrote it in a way where you couldn't tell. I would be like, okay. Like, I can't tell, so I'm not gonna complain, but I can tell. I can tell. Does he do this with every employee? He is now really afraid that she's going to go to HR, which she's like, I'm not gonna go to HR. I literally kissed him back, like I want to fuck him so badly. So they kind of avoid each other. I don't really know. He's like, oh my god, she's gonna get me fired or something. I don't really know what he's thinking. He then finds a piece of paper on the wall where you can rip off numbers, and it's by Zara, and she is introducing a membership program. I forgot the purpose of this membership program. Her sister has Down syndrome, and so she wants to get people from the creator team to join her and her sister and her besties who also have Down syndrome to mentor them. I don't remember for what. I don't remember the purpose of this. Like, I don't remember if she was doing this with the intent of making the park more exclusive with, exclusive? No, inclusive. Inclusive for people with disabilities, which is like one of the themes that comes up later on. Or if she was doing this with the intention of just making people with Down syndrome more independent. That's the word I was looking for. Walt Disney Jr. sees this piece of paper on the wall, and he sees that like one piece is ripped off or two, and he's like, oh my god, I'm so jealous. She's literally mine. I'm gonna rip up the entire piece of paper off the wall with all of the numbers. No, I think he only takes all of the numbers off, and then Zara sees this and she's like, oh my god, I'm so happy so many people are interested in this membership program. And he's like, yeah, I just took the last one. And she's like, why did you do that? I thought we hated each other. And he's like, I don't know. So that's how that goes. Who could have taken the number? There aren't too many young creators around here that might be interested in hanging around Zara. I have noticed one blonde beta team member staring at Zara's ass once or twice. When he saw that I caught him looking, he actually shot me a smug smile that made my fists clench. I ended up destroying him during his presentation. This is another thing that Lauren Asher likes to do, and again, maybe her other books are better. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because I thought this was her first book. And then I found out she wrote these other 4 books before this, so now I'm just saying, like, you can't write. She keeps telling us how he is a really strong, good businessman that is able to do so much, and he's so smart, and he's so savvy, and he looks at the stock market. Okay. And now she tells us, oh, he destroyed someone in his presentation, but I don't see any of it. She's just telling you. She's not showing you. And that's literally everything in this book. She's just telling you. And so I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything. I don't believe he destroyed him in his presentation. How would he do that? I get the vibe from him that he isn't that smart. And we will talk about why. Then he finds out that Zara has been, or he sees because he's in the presentations, that she can't draw. And she needs to include a drawing of her project or like of what she came up with in her presentation. And she can't draw. And he can, as we remember, but his dad called him a pussy. So for her, he decides to pick up a pen and draw again to make her drawings better. But he's too much of a coward to come out and say, I'm doing this and I'm doing these drawings for you because I want to help you. So he comes up with a fake persona called Scott. And he says, like, Scott is drawing these pictures for you. He's in the animator team because, again, this is Disney. So they are also, like, a streaming service. They make movies and shit. And he tells her, yeah, Scott is doing this shit for you. And she's like, okay, can you give him my number? I want to thank him. And so he gets a fake number. And he texts her and he's like, this is Scott. Blah, blah, blah. And then they text back and forth for a really long time. And she thinks that Scott is a different person. Which I have to say with Peace and Love, like, that could never be me. She's getting catfished, right? For, as far as I'm concerned, months. I'm not sure on the timeline of this book. I have to be honest, I don't really get it. I don't know when we're starting. Halloween and Christmas are both mentioned, but I don't know if we're starting in the summer or where we're ending the book. But there's sometimes mentions like months have passed, weeks have passed, days have passed, and I'm like, okay, where are we? What day is it? But she rides with Scott for a very long time, and he never sends her a voice memo. They never talk on the phone. They never send pictures. Well, I think he never sends a picture of himself because obviously he's Walt Disney Jr. And she just goes with it, and she gets a crush on him. And she's absolutely someone that would fall for a fucking scam if she got a text. Like, hey mom, I lost my phone. She doesn't even have children. She would fall for it. She would fall for it. So she doesn't know. They really want to fuck each other. They keep thinking in each other's head, well, in their own respective head, obviously, that they want to fuck each other so bad. They're talking about Pride and Prejudice because that's her one quirky personality trait, that she loves Pride and Prejudice. And then she goes, I want to pull more information from him. No normal man watches Pride and Prejudice without some ulterior motives. And I have a feeling why. Because if you are a man, you cannot watch period pieces. Fuck you. Watch some fucking action movie. Go. There's these very underlying, sometimes explicit, sometimes more underlying sexism. Like sexism things. I've talked about the fact that with all of these romance books, even if the author tries to make the main character a strong, independent woman, they will always, like, kind of fall back onto the sexism. They will always make the woman submissive and demand an alpha and dictating her life and very possessive and saying things like, oh, no man watches Pride and Prejudice. I don't think that's true. Back to the critical thinking of Walt Disney Jr. As we know, he's very savvy. He's a businessman. He stands on business. And he does not think very far. Like, he just kind of exists, and then it's kind of unrealistic to me that he would be this, I don't know, he's not very reflected. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Wouldn't people quit if they were unhappy with the pay? They might. I wouldn't blame them. Huh, really? Our annual surveys always report such high employee satisfaction rate. But many people love their job. Some are even multi-generational. And then he goes, like you, and she goes, exactly! Okay. He has never thought about the fact that people could, first of all, lie. People could be lying. But also that people might just want more money. Which is, like, obvious the answer. Like, why wouldn't I want more money? And he also finds out throughout the book that a lot of people have, like, cancer. Sorry, I'm laughing, but it's like, his secretary goes, oh, I have 2 jobs. And then, like, at the end of the book, he goes, why do you have 2 jobs? And she's like, my husband has cancer and I can't pay for it because of insurance. And he's like, oh, I never thought about that. Huh? Like, even rich people who are very self-absorbed and unaware, because obviously he's a billionaire, this is the Dreamland Billionaire trilogy, they must have some understanding of the world, right? They must have thought about this at some point, that people can't afford shit, and that insurance is expensive in America. He's like, oh my god, cancer? And then he has like, he gives his presentation at the end, and he's like, this man has worked for a company as long as Walt Disney's senior, and he has cancer. And everyone's like, oh my god. And then he's like, and he can't pay for it because of our insurance. We don't give them enough insurance. And everyone's like, oh my god, no way. What do you mean no way? Why have you never thought about this? This is, by the way, all over Texas conversation. And then he texts her, it's hard to forget about the ukulele playing Elvis loving family that happens to work here. And then Zara responds, it's kind of nice that you pay attention to the little things. And she says this like twice or thrice in this book. Oh, you pay attention to the little things. What the fuck do you mean? In a conversation earlier, she mentioned that she played the ukulele and that her parents loved Elvis. Those are not hard to remember. That's not a little thing. You know what I mean? That's just like people listening to what you're saying. I don't really, like, I don't get it. Again, Walt Disney Jr. doesn't have any critical thinking skills. He joins Zara in the park because she's kind of walking around and experiencing the park as someone who is just normally visiting and doesn't have like a ton of money. I don't know. And she wants to experience it from the view of a normal visitor, to also just talk to the people visiting, to figure out what they like about the park and what they think could be optimized, because that's her job, right? She's doing her job. And for some reason, no one has ever thought about this option before, like interviewing people that come to the park. They never thought about this before. So she's the first with this idea. And so she is hiding in the park. Rowan comes to her. She's not hiding. She's just exploring the park. Walt Disney Jr. comes to her to join her. And she explains to him, I'm trying to like explore the park from a normal visitor's perspective, to also talk to the people. Okay, they ride a ride for like run ride, and then they go into the next line, and he complains, and he's like, why are we not skipping everyone? Why are we in the line? And she literally just explained it to him. Bitch, are you going to finally explain why we're waiting in a line when we can go ahead and skip everyone? And then she tells him, and it's like, couldn't you have thought of that yourself? Like, couldn't you have thought, like, why are we doing this? No, he can't. It needs to be explicitly explained to him. Like, he doesn't use his brain cells. Like, he doesn't think at all. Which is so odd. It would annoy me if I had to explain all of my thoughts to every single one of my thoughts to the person in front of me, and they couldn't just gather the information themselves by thinking. You know what I mean? We're like about 50% in almost, and there's not that much going on. I have to be honest, like, these people are so weird. They're talking a little bit about her ex who traumatized her, and he tells her, and this is something, and I've talked about this before, I read on my phone. Even though I have a Kindle, I often read on my phone. And so I flipped the page, and then a lot of the crazy lines come right at the top of the page, and it's always like Whiplash. So as you can see here, it says it on the top of the page. Seriously, what kind of idiot complains about a woman having curves? Off the record, your body is hot as fuck. And that made me put down my phone and be like, what am I reading? This is your boss telling you your body is hot as fuck. Off the record. Okay, you're still saying it. You shouldn't be having this conversation. You're my boss. My molars pressed together. I'm not technically your boss. My contract begs to differ. You report to Jenny, who then reports to me. Well, you're my boss's boss, which means I should definitely not bring up my ex to you. So be a gentleman and shut up. Gentle is the last thing I want to be around you. They then make out again. And he feels really bad about this, because we're now 50% in, and he does confess to her at this point, like literally at the 50% mark, that he is Scott. That Walt Disney Jr. is Scott, and he made up this fake persona to talk to her because he was being a bitch about it. He was being a coward. He didn't want to confess that he was drawing for her. And she's like, okay, I hate you now. And he's like, no, please don't hate me. That's not how it works. The book is honestly so boring. There is nothing going on. These two don't have friends. Him especially. She has one friend and her sister, right? That do take a part in the story. Because he does visit this mentorship program 2 or 3 times, and the sister is like trying to get them to be together, and she gives him tips on how to get to her or to get with her. That comes up in the book, but I didn't fuck with any of the characters. I thought they were all boring. He doesn't have any friends. They each don't have any hobbies. They never do any fucking work. They don't do any work. Like, especially once they get together, they stop working completely. And all of the aspects she's trying to introduce just don't work, right? Like the, I don't really know what, but all of the things don't work. They all felt too loose. All of the plots that she was trying to do felt too loose. And then the characters, especially after the 50% mark where he confesses and there's like nothing in their way to get together, she's dragging it out. She's dragging it out for another 50% to have them get together. She doesn't want them to get together, but there's no real good reason for them not to be together. And then they have the same conversations over and over and over again, to a point where I was like, didn't I read the scene before? Yes, I fucking did. She just does the same scene with different words over and over again. Like, but in essence, they're the same. I could never love you. You tricked me into believing you were Scott. And I was feeling depressed because I was falling in love with both Scott and you, and I didn't know who to choose. And now you're telling me you are both people. Like, I don't know what to think. I could never trust you again. You lied to me. And he's like, sorry. It was an accident. She writes a resignation and he finds her in her cubicle and sees this on her table while she's like writing it or signing it, something. It's laying on her table and he goes, you're not quitting. I dumped the job resignation in the trash bin underneath her desk. Because I'm a bastard, I make sure my fingers skim her body. Despite her skin being blocked by a pair of jeans, her soft inhale of breath tells me everything. No matter the time, place, or circumstance, Zara is attracted to me. Nothing she says or does she will tell me otherwise. While I might have messed up, I'm done giving her time to think things over. That's not okay. You are manipulating her. You're keeping her back from quitting because she's uncomfortable with the entire situation. She literally is. Like, it doesn't matter if her body responds. The fuck that, I hate that. Oh my god, I touched her and she took a breath. She must want to fuck me. The entitlement is so insane. I don't fuck with this at all. He is so self-assured in this and he does not let her make the decisions for herself. He's like, no, I'm the boss. He uses the boss card whenever it's convenient. You can't force me to stay here. I could. No, things are getting too complicated. Then uncomplicate them. I can't simply shut off my feelings and carry on with life like none of this happened. She gestures between us with a slight frown. I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't care. I don't care. She didn't say that. I don't care. Also, again, this is the last thing I will say before I leave, and when I return, you will not see me like this. My hair it will be hair wash day. So, I hope that's okay for you. The dialogue sometimes reads so clunky, and I think that neither of them have critical thinking skills. Not everything needs to be spelled out on page. Like, you know what I mean? The things that should be spelled out on page are not spelled out on page. There's a lot of things where it's like, oh, this and this happened. Like a lot of telling and not showing, as I mentioned before. And then there's things like this. Of course, but will you tell me what made you want to start drawing again, if that's okay? He nods. Because your drawings were terrible, and I had this burning desire to help you. You started drawing again because of me? Yes, he mumbles under his breath. At this point, they've already semi-fucked. And he's told her, I feel something for you, I've never felt this way before. Basically telling her he's in love with her without saying, I love you, right? She responds to this, you started drawing again because of me. And he says, yes. She says, I smile and nod. Oh, wow. Why? What kind of response is that? Oh, wow, why? You know why! He told you! Cut the cameras. I apologize because I came to the realization as I was pulling the already filmed things off the camera onto my PC. I was in your face. I was in your face, in your business. I apologize, I backed up. No, you're the one who needs to back up. It's my channel. Anyway, I don't even know. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. It's been a long time. Days, weeks have passed since the last clip. Just lying. I just want to lie a little bit. I actually had a presentation earlier today. I already did my fair share of yapping. Alas, I have to continue. I can never stop it. I can never stop yapping. In this conversation that our two main characters are having, they're opening up to one another, and again, this is like 55% in, and they are basically confessing each other's feelings to the other without saying like, I love you, be my husband and wife or whatever. But that is the undertone of it. Very much so. I think that a lot of authors, most of the authors that are popular, they have lost the ability to really write a proper character. This book is using the trope of grumpy and sunshine. So you have a grumpy man and a sunshine girl who's just so happy. A lot of authors don't know how to write anything else. Like anything beyond those two aspects. And so the characters feel very shallow. And so when you sit them down to have a conversation, you will get this, which I'm going to read out to you. And this is him telling her about his past. Oh my god. Well, where I came from, people have used me throughout my life, but it had never taken a turn toward anything illegal. Ich glaub. Guys, can you tell that the presentation was in German? I wanted to say I think that's how he talks. Like, this is him. This is Walt Disney Jr. speaking. But it had never taken a turn toward anything illegal until I became an adult. College was eye-opening. I lost my virginity while unknowingly being filmed with a hidden camera. It cost my father a lot of money to sweep that issue under the rug before she went to the media with the tape. The food I ate doesn't sit well with his admission. Are you serious? That's disgusting. Why would you pay her off? She's the one in the wrong. This is not how conversations work. They don't flow. They don't sound natural. Why would they talk like this? Why would that be her response to that? Also, another question that I have to ask myself is, why is he such a big deal? Why is Walt Disney Jr. such a big deal? Do we give a fuck about the Walt Disney family? As people, as a society, do we care about rich businessmen? No. No! Who the fuck gives a fuck about businessmen? There's so many rich bitches out there, but we don't care about them because they're not doing anything. I don't know their names. I don't read Forbes or anything like that. So why the fuck is everyone trying to sabotage him? You're not the fucking royal family. You know what I mean? Or you're not like a celebrity. You're not doing anything. Why would you be famous? What are you known for? Oh my god, that's disgusting. Why would you pay her off? No critical thinking. Also, the main character, Zara, she is like a little child. Using this trope, grumpy sunshine. I wish I was a contemporary girl, right? I wish I was a contemporary girl. I think my life would be better. That is the whole identity of both of these characters. Okay? She adds like one or two little quirks to make it a little bit more interesting. But at the end of the day, it's not interesting. Zara genuinely acts like no normal person would act, from the way she speaks and the way she views things. She feels like, the vibe she was giving was like a child, right? Like a naive child. And the vibe that the dude was giving was just a man. Like, he is just a man. Why do we care? Then he tells her, that was only my first experience. College was full of shit, but even that was tame compared to adulthood. And she goes, oh god, there are things worse than blackmail? Yeah? Like murder? Not saying that anyone was murdered in this book, or that maybe his family had someone murdered. I don't know. Kind of like McDonald's and Burger King. Maybe there's like a different dreamland. Maybe there's Nightmare Land, and so they said, I'm making up my own story now. I'm coming up with shit now. He has a very nice monologue, and also the things that I will mention from now on, for some reason at 50% the lines just get really odd. Maybe because they start fucking and so I started noticing it more, but the descriptions, they literally make me go, and then I screenshotted them and now I have them here to prove it. I couldn't keep pretending after our day at Dreamland. I became addicted to the way you made me feel, to the point that I couldn't find a way to tell you who I really was. I was afraid and I didn't want it to end. So instead of giving myself up, I found ways to spend time with you as Rowan while purposefully stealing the rest of your attention as Scott. It was a stupid idea. It was unfair of me, but I don't regret a single thing except hurting you. Which is very great of him to say, to come clean like this. I wouldn't forgive him. And then he's like, I will never lie to you again, and then he lies to her like the next chapter. So men, why am I mentioning this? Oh yeah, because of the next line after he makes this confession, which is basically telling him or telling her like, I have a huge crush on you, but because then they argue like, oh, let's just keep it casual. Let's just keep it casual. Like, we love each other. Let's just keep it casual just so we have some more drama. But it doesn't work because they already confessed their feelings. Like, there's no point in keeping it casual. He gives her this heartfelt monologue, and so the next line is, wetness emerges. Making my tear ducts full. What? Wetness emerges making my tear ducts full? What the fuck does that mean? Wetness emerges. From where? Maybe she's getting wet from this confession. Maybe she relishes in pain. Okay, and then they start fucking because now the cat's out of the bag. And then I had to put down the book at this point because they are sitting in front of each other on the floor, on their knees. They're not at the desk or anything. On the floor, on their knees. And she goes, his eyes brighten in a way I've never seen before. Would you rather me show or tell you? His husky tone makes my cheeks heat. And the smile on his face, absolutely positively devious. But the way he crawls over to me on his knees. Get up! Why are you on the floor crawling? You're a grown man. Get up. Imagine you're about to do it with someone, they start crawling towards you like a fucking baby. What the fuck? You fucking dog? What is it? Pig? Okay. I'd agree to anything from that one action alone. She thinks it's hot that he's crawling on all fours to her. Ew. We would not be doing it. Zara twists and wraps her legs around me, pushing her jean-covered center against my growing cock. Jean-covered center is also a very interesting description for a coochie. Also, she does wear skinny jeans. Confirmed. Also, I've noticed, would you guys mind actually if I wore this? A lot of contemporary romance books that have explicit scenes in them, for some reason the first explicit scene that happens between the two characters, the two main characters, not just two randos, is always from the men's perspective. And so it is the same in this book. We get this first sexy time and it's his perspective. And it makes me wonder why. And also, I feel like they sometimes remember like, oh my god, I'm writing a contemporary book and the dude needs to be like unhinged, so I need to write him like alpha sigma brain. And it doesn't work. So he does eat her out and then it says, I drive her to the edge only to rip her orgasm away from her before she has the chance to explode. She's literally about to come. And then it goes, I insert a finger and groan, finding her soaked for me. She literally almost just came. Why would she be dry? Then, as I just said, the author remembers, and just for your reminder, it is Lauren Asher. I mean, you're watching the whole video in one go, I hope. If not, you know, watch it multiple times, but remember to turn on the ads. These authors, these kind of authors, they read a lot of other romance books and then they just kind of copy what they know. Like, they don't try to make it their own. I think that's a good way to explain it. They don't try to make it their own. They just replicate what they read themselves all the time. And I mean, you can say that for any trend actually. Oh my god, I'm like, my brain today is just so big. It fills me with deep satisfaction knowing this version of Zara is all mine. No amount of money, fame, or power could steal her away from me. I'm the one she's desperate to have between her legs. Girl! I mean, man! He probably is transphobic. It feels sometimes like a random insert. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really work. And it's like the author remembered, oh my god, I need to make him possessive. I don't know what accent that was. Possessive. And then they just included. And then, for example, we have another line, still in his perspective. I don't know why I can't get out of this man's head. I want to get out. My expression turns predatory. I don't know if I am wrong, but can you say that about yourself? You are in you're in first person. Why do you know what your expression looks like? You don't know what your own expression looks like. You can't see it. You can say, I look at her predatorily. But you saying my expression turns predatory? It doesn't work for me. Maybe that was silly. Let's put the glasses back on so you guys think I'm smart. Oh my god, they're about to fuck again! They can't stop fucking, and again, this is just a bunch of lines. He goes, oh my god. She goes, I dare you, and then he says, spoiler warning. As he's about to put it in, he says, spoiler warning. If you do, you might not be able to walk home tomorrow. Spoiler warning, I'm gonna put my cock inside of you. Sorry? This man is so icky. He gives me the fucking ick. I would not want to have sex with this man. I say that with peace and love. I say that with war and hate. Do not get near me. I ram into her over and over again. She shakes with every thrust. Again, why are we in his perspective? She shakes with every thrust and I take pleasure in watching her breasts bounce every damn time. That is what men think when they're having sex. Do you think she like talked to a man? Because I can only assume that she does not know what it's like for a man to have sex. Again, that's just an assumption. Maybe she does. Maybe she knows something that I don't, but every man looks at boobies that bounce and is like, yes. Ooga ooga. And she also gives us the line, slaves to each other's erotic touches. What? She is not good at writing and also not good at writing sex scenes. They are not hitting girly pop. Lauren Asher pop. Oh my god, finally we are in the girly pop's perspective. And she goes, he throws me back onto the bed before pulling the comforter over our naked bodies. I've cuddled before. I've cuddled before, but with Walt Disney Jr. it feels more intimate. Okay, we spent a lot of time in this book talking about your ex-boyfriend, who I just assume, you did do the sexy time with, you know, you did the devil's tango or whatever they say nowadays. So I would also assume that you've cuddled with him. Why do you need to clarify that you've cuddled before? We know. Just leave that out. Just say cuddling with Walt Disney Jr. feels more intimate, or feels intimate. Just like don't add that I've cuddled before. Like I can tell. Now he's smiling at her because of course usually he doesn't smile because he's depressed and he's I don't know, he's just generally like a little bitch. And then she goes, I found the secret to making you smile. And he goes, what? And she goes, orgasms. The laugh he lets out is like unlike anything I've heard before. That was the best fucking joke she's ever made. Orgasms! You're so funny! He's just trying to hit. She has a best friend, actually. Their name I forgot, but that best friend is of course gay. We need representation and we're getting it. The best friend is a cook. And the cook best friend fucked up her job application or something, I don't really know. In every scene that this character talks about what happened to her, and that's twice, okay? If I had a penny for every time that this character would start something with it was like a movie, I would have 2 pennies, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice in this book. That this side character starts telling the main character something and starts it out with, it was like a movie. Let me tell you something, that means you're fucking lazy as a writer. What do you mean it was like a movie? She's like, oh my god, I ran into her in the back alley and then we fucked with Ratatouille watching us because we're chefs. Again, she uses phrases over and over, like the molar grinding or whatever the fuck that was. People throwing their heads back and laughing. It was like in a movie. And also just the conversations that the main characters have are happening over and over again, to a point where I was like, didn't I just fucking read that? Didn't I just fucking read that? I fucking did. Also, I want everyone to stop worrying. I did get 1,000 friends on Goodreads. Yes. Thank you to everybody who is my friend. We will hate forever. Oh. Hate lasts forever. Yeah. They go out to a date, and again, they have decided that they would keep things casual, but they're not doing anything that's casual. I don't really know what a casual hookup situation looks like, to be frank, and neither do I give a fuck. But they are going on dates, they are spending time together 24/7, they are acting like boyfriend-girlfriend, then they're like, oh, we're keeping things casual. No, you're not. And that's just because the author wanted drama. She wanted a 3rd act breakup because she did not have any idea of where to take this fucking story. Because these characters got together 20% in, basically, when they started making out for the first time, and then she was like, oh fuck, I still have to write 80% of this book. And then so she just kind of did this ring around the rosy. I don't know what that means. They're at dinner, they see her ex-boyfriend, 64% in, this is the last time we see him. Walt Disney Jr. tells him that he is now officially promoted to a creator himself, which, as we know, Zara is a creator. He's now also a creator, and he's being promoted to this position in Shanghai. Sure. I mean, he did cheat on Zara and then get engaged to that woman, but I don't really know anything about him. He also stole her idea for the park, the Animal Kingdom, but this is all just things we're told. I don't see any interactions between them. I don't, you know, you're trying to make me care for a past relationship that I had no part in. So I don't care where he is. He could be in fucking Buxtehude for all I care. That's what you say in German. Don't worry about it. There's only one person who deserves my limited supply, and it's definitely not this degenerate. So he calls him a degenerate. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but we do have like some representation in this book because Zara is Armenian. Do you say Armenian or Armenian? Armenian. I think that's German, so in English it would be Armenian. There's really no relevance to this at all. It gets mentioned. Then Rowan comes over, Walt Disney Jr., to have dinner with her parents and her sister. Again, there's like different interactions with the sister. She does play a bigger part in this book. I just didn't give a fuck. This is like so odd to me because, actually no it's not, because she is South American. So Laura and Esha decided to put in the line, I laughed to myself, great, then prepare to be amazed. My mom might be from Europe, but she learned all my dad's favorite Armenian recipes. Okay, where is she from then? Huh? Why are we specifying Armenia, which I'm sure doesn't get that much representation in mainstream contemporary media, which is great. And then she like puts so much emphasis on the fact that it's Armenia, and then she's like, yeah, but my mom's from Europe. Like, that's a country. I do not fuck with that because I'm German and I will stand for my rights. It's not that deep. My mom might be from Europe. From where? That could literally be anywhere. Huh? Also, go ahead and make the dad cook. Bitch. Date? I'm dressed in a pair of old painted splattered Levi's and a sweatshirt of the Chicago Bulls from the 90s. My fashion choice is barely suited for the local grocery store, let alone a date. She is so different. It's just so annoying. Why are we still publishing books where the main character is so different? She even has a messy... I think I have that. Actually, I don't want to spoil it. I think I have that line screenshot. It's also a very interesting line. Basically, what happens next is... Let me sum it up before I read out some lines to you. Walt Disney Jr. takes Zara to New York City, and he takes her to New York City in a private jet to a book event that he himself organized because he knows her favorite author and she's mentioned it to him, and so since he knows the author, he organizes a book event just for her to go to, but they're keeping things casual. They are not dating. At this event, literally, the girly pop, the author, is like, oh my god, what a nice thing to do for your girlfriend. And he's like, that bitch is not my girlfriend. Girl, did that just flicker? Sometimes I get scared that there's ghosts in here. I named them Vanessa. They go to New York, they have this date at the book signing that he organized for her. They go to Central Park. It's cold outside, it's snowing. They're also there because she said she's never seen snow before, so that's why he took her there, so she could see snow, but they're keeping things casual. And then she gets sick, and then she almost dies, and then she gets to go to the hospital, and then they break up. Yeah. Let's see. I comment on the woman's bag in front of me and we end up becoming friends instantly. Katie and I compare our list of book boyfriends and discuss what we expect will happen in the Duke Who Seduced Me's season finale. Rowan even offers his analysis of the show, which makes Katie about two breaths away from passing out. Okay, why did I mark that? Maybe because of the book boyfriends line. I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they start talking about that shit. It gets too real. He scheduled this entire event for you because he said you're my biggest fan. Are you serious? I turn around and look up at him. How? You planned this whole thing? Without him, my ass would be glued to a lawn chair somewhere in Hawaii, right now celebrating the release of my new book. But you're here for me? It pays to have friends in high places, doesn't it? His company made my books into the show you love. His company? Did she never Google this man? You know, that's so unrealistic. No matter how much of a good-natured person you are, you would fucking Google that dude. Would you not? And that's why I'm saying, like, why is he that big of a deal? Why would we care about his sex tape? We wouldn't. And then we have another deep conversation where he goes, you went to therapy? Why? But I get stuck on finding the right words. Her laugh sounds sad. What? I'm nice, happy, smiling? Just because I'm smiling doesn't mean I'm not going to therapy. He has never thought about this. He goes, well, yes, isn't that how it works? Why would anyone who's happy go to therapy? This man has never thought about anyone's issues. And that is why I would absolutely 100% immediately break up with him. I would maybe ask him for like a small loan of $1 billion because he's a billionaire, but then I would leave his ass and I would change my identity and I would go to the Bahamas. Because what the fuck do you mean? You've never thought about this in your life. You're 30 years old. He is 30 years old, guys. Remember this. He is 30. He is a grown... His frontal lobe developed. Again, having this deep conversation, and he tells her about how his dad called him a pussy. And then he says, the one thing I was good at was drawing. My brothers had sports or comic books or special clubs, but me, I was the odd one out, the disappointing artistic one who talked too much and dreamed too big. I feel like comic books are also an odd thing out of this list. Like, why the fuck would your dad be down for the comic books but not for the drawing? That doesn't make sense to me. He's very sad now, so we get Zara's perspective, and of course, she is being really realistic about this since he is so upset. She goes, I want to kiss Walt Disney Jr. until his lips are swollen and the sad look in his eyes are replaced by... This is a fill the blank. What do you think she wants his sad look in his eyes to be replaced by? What kind of look does she want? Happiness? Does she want like joy? Does she want, I don't know, like laughter? Does she want to make him laugh? No. If you guessed lust, you're right. What do you mean? Lust. Why lust? Why is the only thing you're thinking about fucking? Why can't you have like a good conversation for once? They only have sad conversations. And she is dying. She is dying of pneumonia. I don't remember. It's something with P. She got a bad cold and he kind of says like, oh, you haven't eaten anything in 3 days. And it just makes me wonder, like, you are rich, just take her to the hospital. If you care this much about this woman who is not eating anything, why would you take her to the hospital after calling a doctor to the house who tells her or tells them she has poop and anemia, and then you are like, oh, maybe I should take her to the hospital. And then she breaks down because she's too weak. She like falls on the ground and is bleeding out of her head, and it's supposed to be really dramatic because there's blood everywhere, but realistically she just got a cut on her forehead. And he's like, oh my god, I'm so scared, I'm so scared, wake up, wake up. And then he realizes he cannot be in a relationship because it makes him lose control. Music makes me lose control. My situationship almost dying makes me lose control. So he decides to break up with her in the fucking hospital. Then after that, he talks to his dad, who we hate his dad because he called him a pussy, but we don't really know that much about the dad. And so he talks to the dad, he visits him, he's like, you know, mom died. And then the dad's like, yeah, that's why I called you a pussy. And then he's like, okay, so would you do it over again? And he's like, yeah, I would do it over again because I loved your mom. And then he realizes, oh, maybe I should give love a chance if even my dad, who he calls now his dad a pussy. He like reverses it. If even that pussy ass bitch, which by the way, I've said it before, we don't use that word in here, but that's like the best word to describe the sentiment of this, like what she is trying to get across. Like she wanted to say it without saying it. He realizes that even if his dad, who is like an alcoholic and who is suffering, would do it all over again just so he could be with the mom, then maybe he should give love a chance. And then he begs his brothers to stay in Disneyland because he was supposed to go back to Chicago after 6 months to become like the chief of finance or something. He's like, no, let me be the director. And then his brothers are like, you are the pussy. I don't know what they say. They're like, okay. And so the other two books are about the brothers, and I think the second book, I don't know which brother it's about, but that's supposed to be the best one out of the series. Alas, trust, I will not read it. I think my little brain can keep up. Cal taps his temple. He might have ADHD, but he has the highest IQ out of all of us. What does one thing have to do with the other? Do people with ADHD inherently have low IQs? What the fuck? What kind of line is that? Oh, we have the messy bun line, because he kind of like tries to make it up to her by harassing her and like not leaving her alone after she's like, leave me alone, I'm quitting, I don't want to have to deal with you anymore. You're like so ambivalent. If I say it like with an English accent, does it make sense? You're hot and you're cold, you're yes and you're no. Katy Perry said it best, that's what he's like. So she's like, leave me alone. He's like, no, I'm not leaving you alone, not respecting her wishes, literally pushing her to keep working at the firm, be with him, blah, 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 until he eventually gets his wish. And then he takes one good look at her and he sees her hair is in a messy bun and he goes, her hair is thrown up in a messy bun. I want to unleash. He wants to unleash the messy bun. Alas, I'm not sure what that means. Now we are at the very end. I don't even know if I'm missing anything. I'm not going into my notes. I'm just talking out of my ass. It turns out that, if you remember, he was supposed to be the director for 6 months because his grandpa wanted him to work for his shares in the company. And so his grandpa created a committee before he fell into a coma that would eventually vote on his proposal for the park, how to make the park better. And if this committee voted for the project being good or its execution, then he would get the share of the company. Obviously this happens, like he does get his share, everything works out, but you can never guess who's on the committee. Of course it's Zara, because for some reason that I still don't know, Zara worked with the fucking Walt Disney Sr. for a couple months. Why? I don't remember. I don't think she said it actually, because like, why don't I remember why? She is on this committee, she gets the invitation like a week earlier, then she's additionally mad because she thinks that Walt Disney Sr., no, Jr., which one? That Walt Disney Jr. knew about this all along and that was the reason he tried to seduce her, so she would vote yes so he could get his shares. And he's like, no, I didn't know. And she's like, I don't believe you. And then she is on this committee with his secretary who is also on the committee, and she is so smart. And I'm gonna read this out to you and you can judge for yourselves. Oh, darling, she pats my cheek. I put 2 and 2 together when Mr. Kane asked me to get him Juliana de la Rosa on the line. And given our conversation about her books, I connected the dots. Because she says he literally asked me to organize this book event for him. And we talked about you liking the books and you were hanging out all the time. So I connected the fact that you must be fucking. And then the next line after this is, Martha is so damn smart. Huh? This was the most obvious fucking thing. How is she so smart? What did she do? What the fuck? This is what I mean with like, this feels so juvenile. What the fuck do you mean she's so smart? She didn't have to do anything. He basically told her like without telling her, right? Oh my god, I didn't even realize this. This is the... No, it's not the last screenshot. I just can't stop lying. He says to her, would you be willing to try something new with me after they get back together? Because obviously they do. And I literally thought they were gonna do anal. We're 97% and I thought he was gonna put it in her ass. Alas, the next line is, I thought Alpha Walt Disney Jr. was sexy, but there's something about his hesitant voice that has me running a hand down his back in support. Maybe he wants to get pecked even. I didn't even realize it said Alpha. That is so fucking cringe. He goes, do you trust me? Again, why wouldn't I think anal? And she goes, yes, I do. And then he goes, good, I don't want to use a condom with you. Way to be fucking dramatic. And then just to drive the point home that he is possessive and he has issues, she handed in her resignation, I don't know when, but she did, and he heard about it. It was while they were broken up. He heard about it and she goes, maybe he already knew I quit. And then Walt Disney shakes his head. I doubt that. I didn't let Jenny file your notice. So you're still considered an employee in every way of that counts. What? I couldn't let you go. He yet again, for the second time this happens, keeps her from quitting the job. He's holding her hostage. She goes, that's illegal. He's like, no, you should have read the fine print, which is the title of the book, and that's it. Oh my god. I'm finished. I think I'm gonna go eat a cookie and then I'm gonna wrap this up. There's literally nothing else I want to say anymore to you guys. There's nothing left to say. This book was such a boring mess. Anyway, I want to eat a cookie. She ends up happy and married and impregnated by this dumbass man's sperm. The only good thing about him is his money. I am over this book and I will not return to Lauren Asher. Sorry. I'm not sure why everyone needs to be an author, and this is another book that I would put on the list of encouraging, like books that encourage me to write my own book, which I've mentioned numerous times now that I'm going to write my own book. Very tropey. I don't know if I should do a fantasy, guys. Should I do a fantasy or should I do a romance? Like contemporary. And I think I'm gonna do a romance and just use every trope, all of them in one scene, just to prove a point. And then you guys make me rise to stardom, and then I never have to work again. If you've read this book, let me know what you thought about it. I literally have nothing to add. I think that the writing was bad, the plot was non-existent, the characters were shallow, and I also don't really fuck with Walt Disney Jr. or Sr. I also just don't fuck with contemporary, but I will never give up. I will find a contemporary that I like one day. Yeah. yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. Again, I have no desire. I don't know what books are out there. What's on my shelf? I'm not sure. I have nothing to read. Oh, guys, maybe I'm not gonna do a fantasy poll, but just a dark romance poll again. Or not dark romance, but dark fantasy romance. If there's any recommendations that you guys have, let me know. I would only put Neon Gods, Den of Vipers. I don't know any other books. I don't want to just have 2 choices. It's got to be at least 3. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, for bearing with me. This was, again, way longer than I anticipated. I have no idea how this happened. I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you again. Special shout out to my members. I'll even lift up my sunglasses for you. Special shout out to my members. Thank you for supporting me. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and on Goodreads at Honestly Sophie and at Honestly Sophie YT. It's in the description. Don't worry about it. Other than that, I hope you stay happy, you stay healthy, peace and love, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.